I saw a sign in Soweto the other day that said, Africa is not for sissies, dare to succeed. That's what this is about.
Heavyweight championship fights are not for sissies either. As the two fighters walked around listening to Duncan Pollock's introductions, Lennox Lewis leaned over and whispered to Emmanuel Stewart, who then went to the referee and asked him to go to Rahman's camp and have them lower his cup and his trunks. The referee did so. So already Lewis has one small victory before the fight begins. Now let's see if Rahman will try to out-jab the jabber, as he told us he thought he could.
Rahman starting off with his left jab to the body, which is what you want to do to make the taller man bend his waist a little more so you can jab him into the face. Then there is no reach advantage.
And as you pointed out, it's quite a challenge getting Lennox Lewis to come down and fight smaller. Among the big men in the sport, he is maybe the most adept at staying big, right, George?
That's a good way of saying it. Rahman has got to understand, look, you get in that ring with the heavyweight champion, you got to become the heavyweight champion yourself. For the first time, he's been introduced as the champion, but when that bell ring, it's as much yours as it is his championship. Rahman turns his head to the right when he jabs, and that's not a good idea with a right-hand puncher like Lennox Lewis. I can tell you that Fox have seen it. He saw him turn his head to the right when he jabbed.
One of the criticisms of Rahman through his career is that he's sometimes off balance after he throws, particularly after he throws the right hand, lifts the back foot, and gives his opponent a chance to counter. When Michael Grant did that kind of thing against Lennox Lewis in Madison Square Garden, Lewis made short work of him.
Rahman hasn't decided yet what kind of style he really would like to get into. I've actually seen him go southpaw, switch hitter. You do all these kind of things, that means you haven't decided what you can do and what you're good at, nor is your balance.
Lewis lands a jab. Rahman comes with a right hand over the top of it.
Rahman seems very composed, given this is the biggest event of his life.
He hasn't done anything to make Lennox Lewis be a little self-conscious yet. If you're going to step in and be the shorter man with your left jab, you got to step in with all your might to make his jab become a toothpick and yours a bowling ball.
Rahman stepping around Lewis's left there to tap Lewis on the face. Incidentally, if you have not seen The Rock before, he was once in a devastating traffic accident, which he survived to go with 500 stitches on his head. The right side of his face has a lot of scar tissue, but he has not had problems cutting in that area.
Lennox Lewis is not the kind of fighter who likes coming after you at all. He's a good counterpuncher, and he prefers that the challengers come to him. That's why he's not reaching out as much yet.
I gave that round to Rahman.
Just like that. Concentrate on your jab. Forget everything. You'll hit it with the right hand, but you'll see with the right hand. Don't try to make it, okay? Work your jab. And what he's doing, he's jumped down because with a couple of jabs where we kept it down there. That's what I'm saying about. Just keep working the jab. Put a little more pressure on him now. You ain't got to be punching. Just move it in a little bit more pressure. Just throw pressure a little bit more, you're going to fall apart. You let them rest too much.
Here you go, jab. Good, there you go. Looking good, champion. Just like that. And keep, every time you punch, hit move, deal jab. Bang the right kidney inside, okay? Suck it in. Stay like that. Don't let things get you excited. Just stay like you are, nice and relaxed. Suck it in. Suck it in again, woman. Good. Now step a little strong.
Here's Rahman. He threw so many jabs to the stomach in that round and then came up with one to the head. We remember a fight earlier in his career when Lennox Lewis had a lot of trouble with Frank Bruno, who was out jabbing him in the early parts of the fight.
Bruno won the first 5 rounds before Lewis landed a huge left hook in the 6th to turn it around and set up a knockout.
Lewis' corner told him not to be too anxious with the right hand. Just keep your jab going, and he's tried it, but leaped in with the right hand. Rockman's corner was right. Don't try to win but one round at a time. Keep going back to your corner with one round in the bank for use.
CompuBox numbers in round one. Lewis 12 out of 31. Rahman 12 out of 44. Almost all the landed punches were jabs. Right hand, left hook, another right hand by Lewis. First power punch combination of the fight.
And if you're Lennox Lewis, you don't want to go a lot of rounds at 253 pounds. I can tell you that.
Lewis has told anyone who will listen here that he would knock Rahman out earlier.
His mouth is already open. I don't know if that's significant or not.
Lewis says that he would get Rahman in the first couple of rounds. Could be significant, as he may be trying to avoid going the distance here at 5,700 feet altitude.
That right uppercut was pretty close by Lennox Lewis. I also got Rahman thinking now. Put that right hand on the side of your face when you jab. On the left side of your face.
Lewis's big weapon, of course, is his right cross. But he lands a lot of uppercuts when he's on his game. Uppercuts dominated his second fight against Evander Holyfield, helped him win the decision. Go ahead.
Rahman does not want to let Lennox Lewis get his left jab established. If he does, it's all over. Make him miss every time he throw the left jab. Make him miss, and then hit him with your jab.
Chopping right hand by Lewis. Landed in the area just below Rahman's ear. Lewis stopping Rahman with a jab there. Rock reaching.
Lewis is trying to get him with that right hand, but he's going to have to just ease the left jab and then feint the right hand and come back with the hook. Almost feinted that time. You got to feint the right hand and then do it with the hook.
Normally when Lewis is able to land his right hand effectively, it's because he set it up well with the jab. He likes to jab to the top of your head, try to get you to look down so that he's hiding his right hand from you.
That's not the right hand you can hide.
Next Wednesday, another edition of On the Record with Bob Costas. Already this season, Bob's guest list has included musicians such as Bruce Springsteen, movie stars Ashley Judd, George Clooney, Tom Hanks, sports stars like Mark McGuire, Kobe Bryant. This week, he'll have Billy Crystal, the director of the movie 61 Asterisk, now playing on HBO, and also Ray Charles. It's live at 11 o'clock Eastern and Pacific.
This is the hour when the bush and in the swamps of southern Africa, the predators are out and about, and certainly in the second half of that last round, as you see there, Lennox Lewis looked like he was starting to go on the prowl.
You see, Lennox Lewis has been able to watch a lot of boxing matches, and he's seen that Rahman is able to be knocked down, and sometimes you don't concentrate on the other weakness that a fighter has. You just go after him with the power. Sometimes you just got to leave that knockout out of the video and study the fighter.
It's a good point, George. The knockout will come.
Two sharp, accurate jabs from Lewis there. Rahman reaching as he tries to get a right hand to the body.
Rahman's plan appears to be just stay in the fight, survive long enough, maybe something will happen.
Now he's able to get a left jab in.
And Lewis with an uppercut. Rahman tries an uppercut of his own in return. Rahman pounding Lewis's left bicep before the referee breaks him up.
There's a good left jab by Lennox Lewis starting to work now.
Yeah, from the middle of the second round on, Lewis has gotten sharper and more prolific with the jab.
Rockman's got this big target, the chest of Lennox Lewis, the stomach of Lennox Lewis. Forget about the head and just get what you can easily get there. He can land shot after shot if he wouldn't aim so high.
Initiating with his jab. Right hand is blocked. Rahman trying to work him inside.
And working very well. Jim outworking him.
Left hand uppercut this time.
Now, all things are happening good for Rahman. Lennox Lewis, hands are low. All the things you want a heavyweight, a big heavyweight to do, drop his hands, stand there, not moving his head. You got to take advantage of those things.
However, swelling under the left eye of Rahman already here in round 3, indicating that Lewis might have caught him with the right hand. Rahman gets to the body twice. Lewis throws him off. Lewis wild with the left. Rock goes back to pounding that bicep. Left hook to the body and a left behind it upstairs. That's a combination we haven't often seen Lennox throw. Double left hook.
Looking nice, Helen. Looking good. Just what you're doing now. What you've added to your attack, you're throwing more left hooks now. Including the one where you caught him down because he's not looking for nothing underneath. Once you start shooting shots underneath, you hit it right on the chin because he don't land no. All he's doing is doing this on every move. Now you start to go to him more with shots down here. Then the right hand land on the chin pretty good.
Let me have your right for just one. Look over for a second. Stay there. Suck it in, Hasim. Keep moving the head and jabbing to the stomach and the head up and down with your jab to mix him up. And slam that right hand. Really slam it in there. Keep right there. Keep right.
You see them working on Rahman's eye, just as Lennox Lewis was working on his eye during that round.
That was the left hook to the body, left hook upstairs combo with which Lewis finished the round. CompuBox numbers, you saw that Rock threw more. Lennox landed at a higher rate. Round 4 begins with a Lewis right hand. Wladimir, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1. Lennox Lewis. Jim, when you give the big heavyweight champion room to punch, he's brutal. That's what's happening here. Rounds 2 and 3. Lennox got a lot of room to punch. Heavy moves just like he is now.
The power punches of Lewis seemingly beginning to rock the Rock, and now Rahman comes back with aggression of his own.
You know, the bad thing about it for Lennox Lewis, he has no fear of Rahman's power. He isn't covered up at all. Rahman does keep his hands up. You must have fear.
Well, sometimes the way you deal with fear, George, is you attack.
Rahman is attacking.
Lewis with his hands at or below his waist. Rahman hits him with the right hand inside.
And it was a good right hand. It wasn't a lot of power on it, but it showed him that he can land it.
May encourage Lewis to keep his guard up a little bit more.
You know, the sad thing about it, Lennox Lewis can win this fight with his left hand. And I guess it's so easy, he doesn't want to believe it.
Maybe that's part, George, of underestimating your opponent and thinking you can go out and get him anytime you want, and so you don't work at it.
You don't work at it. He hasn't worked at doing what he can do easily. Do it all with your left jab. You got the height, you got the reach. Now snap your left jab if you're Lennox Lewis. And if you're Rahman, keep attacking. Make a fight out of it. You only get one of these good fights like that. Keep fighting.
Lands another right hand, does Rahman. and pops Lewis just above the ear in the clinch. Some pretty effective punching in round 4 by Hasim Rahman of Baltimore, Maryland, trying to bring the heavyweight championship of the world to the United States of America.
Evidently, Rahman's trainers know that he turns his head to his right when he jabs, so they make him put the right hand right next to his left side of his cheek.
Lewis targeting Rahman's swelling left eye with his jab.
The crowd is chanting Rahman, Rahman. When the underdog stays in there longer than you expect him to, when he performs a little better than you expect him to, he can win the drama of the fight and get the crowd on his side.
Lewis landed a punch below the belt, and Rahman attempted to retaliate immediately.
Here you stop. Your left hook. You can't have you pay your left hook. Watch it when you start shooting the left hook, you're knocking him out of here. Shoot the left hook. Just pick up on the left. And break off from your toes with the left hook.
Your left hook. Over here. The one over there? No, I understand that. Somebody tell that free head from me. Okay, tell him. In and out. Big one. In and out. Mr. Red! In and out. You got to breathe. Deep breath.
Not so much the right hand.
Back to the point.
Accidental crush pads, okay? Accidental.
Well, you may have heard the referee Daniel Vandevila telling our Harold Letterman that the swelling in Rahman's left eye comes from an accidental butt. Harold Letterman asked if any point had been deducted. The answer was no. Only 17 jabs per round by Lewis by CompuBox numbers in the first 4 rounds, and that's fewer than Lennox would want to throw to be at his optimum. Frankly, he isn't throwing that many punches at all. He's been under 40 punches per round. Heavyweight average is around 40. In most of his best efforts, Lennox is much busier than that, sometimes 60 punches a round.
Rahman jabs to the left, to the body once or twice, then he comes up with that right hand. Lennox Lewis better be careful.
While Lewis hasn't been busy, he has been accurate, more accurate than Rahman. But that presents a classic quandary for the judges. Is the busier fighter better, or is the one who lands at a higher rate better?
Rahman blinked that right hand. He's having trouble seeing out of his left eye, it appears.
And Lewis goes to the body with the left hook. Trying to get Rock to bring his hands down, give him another shot at that swelling left eye.
You know, you're fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. If you start to bleed, so what?
So far,
your eyes start to close, so what?
Yeah, you got to go. That's right.
Don't make any looks. Don't touch your face. Keep fighting.
So far, Rahman has done a pretty good job of staying off the ropes and toward the center of the ring.
I don't like him touching his face like that.
His 2 disastrous moments, George, against Maskaev and Tua occurred when he had his back to the ropes. Right hand by Rahman that momentarily stuns Lewis. Lewis smiling at him as a result.
Good right hand. That's what you got to do. You fighting for the title. You want the men's titles, go take it.
Excellent chopping right hand.
Lewis stopped jabbing. He can walk into some right hand. That's what's happening now. If you're going to walk to the man, use your left jab.
Lewis with a jab right to the body. Left hook upstairs combination. Now he just fires the right hand.
Lennox Lewis is like a big cat.
Rahman jab, 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 jab. 4 of them. Chases Lewis across the ring. With a thunderbolt to the right hand. Shades of Oliver McCall. September 24, 1994 in London. Has Rahman pulled the upset? He has. He got a brand new heavyweight champion, and he's from the United States.
And the way he fought the fight, you could see he wasn't taking him seriously because he wasn't fighting his normal fight.
All week long, you were thinking it was shades of Tokyo. There were reminders of Tokyo, Feb 10, 1990, everywhere as they prepared for this fight. Lewis clearly preoccupied with other things in his life. Rahman focusing on the business at hand.
All I can say is, for beautiful, spacious skies.
You like having an American heavyweight champion, George?
Oh, we can sing the national anthem again.
What a story as Hasim Rahman becomes the heavyweight champion of the world in one of the biggest upsets in the history of the division. A shot in the dark as Lewis stood there with his hands down and invited Rahman to hit it.
For Lennox Lewis, it was a crumble in the jungle, not a rumble in the jungle.
Larry, you better write some stuff down for us now. I'm shocked. I'm in shock.
Lewis spent 6.5 years rebuilding his reputation after the disaster against McCall. And now he lets it all come apart again on one big right hand. All right, let's look back, Larry, at what happened in the round. Here's the first right hand that seemed to start the trouble. Lewis smiled after that one.
He smiled and became more insolent and more lackadaisical and careless. Rahman got inside and hit him a terrific straight right hand.
Just a perfect shot.
He had not thrown many right hands through the fight. Lewis lived down to his preparation for the fight.
Absolutely.
He just drowned in Ocean's 11.
That's another brilliant line.
Drowned in Ocean 11.
How's he going to explain this to Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, and all of his co-stars on the movie?
He can tell them it was a stunt.
There's the stunt. A brilliant right hand by Rahman. George, you said overconfident before the fight. And he showed it throughout the fight, didn't he?
And Rahman came here and became a local hero. The people cheered for him all the time.
Well, he spent more than a month here. He did what he was supposed to do to prepare for the one big chance in his life.
If you're not serious, do not come to Africa. You will get your title taken.
So here it is. It ranks right up there with James Braddock knocking out Max Baer.
Okay, that's
Don't
better.
worry, George. Braddock Baer.
Leave me be.
Cassius Clay beating Sonny Liston in Miami Beach, 1964. James Buster Douglas knocking out Mike Tyson in Tokyo. Here is a fight to go with those as one of the 4 biggest upsets in the history of the heavyweight division.
What a wonderful
And now let's
feeling.
go to Duncan
Wonderful
Pollock
feeling.
for the announcement of a new heavyweight champion of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, you came to South Africa to see the thunder, and the storm has just broken. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight was stopped 2 minutes and 32 seconds into the 5th round. To our winner, the new WBC, RBO, and RBA heavyweight champion of the world from Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States, the new undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Hasim Rahman.
There's the jubilant Rahman. As we take a look at final CompuBox numbers, remember that only 2 punches in the end really mattered. The 2 huge right hands that Rahman landed to Lennox Lewis's chin in the 5th round. And And you see the difference in activity. Rahman throwing 101 more punches in the fight because he was better conditioned, cared more, prepared the right way, and was ready tonight. Jabs, 38 out of 135 for Rahman. Lewis startlingly accurate at 51%, but only throwing 19 per round. Not enough to set up his power shots. Lewis again landing at a huge rate with his power punches, but Rahman threw almost exactly twice as many. In this instance, busier was better. Busier won big. Let's go to Larry Merchant with a new champ.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Rock. Tell us what happened in there. Why are you now the heavyweight champion of the world?
Oh, well, I kept my prayers in order. I kept my team right. I just want to say Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah. And I want to say to the state of Maryland, my mother can take her job and shove it. She ain't working there no more. And I just felt like, I told y'all the whole time I was here, I felt a sense of calm and confidence. I didn't get nervous, not one time since the fight was made. I wasn't nervous in the dressing room. My father made dua. Power dua is unbelievable. I felt like, you know, he came out and tried to dictate the pace. And he has a very strong jab, very good right hand. And I felt like...
Mark, let me ask you a question in here. Let me get in a word edgewise.
Now, I'm the champion of the world now, Lyle. You got to let me talk a little bit. Go ahead, Lyle.
All right. Do you feel that the long preparation you did here in Africa as well as back in America is the reason that you had that calm and gave you an edge over him?
Well, I believe that I never really took an opponent serious to the fact where I thought he could beat me, except Lennox Lewis. I felt like if I didn't train properly, he would have the edge. I kept my prayers in order. I did all my training, and I came up into it. You see, one punch power with the right hand. I mean, give me some props.
Let's see. All right, let's take a look at the one punch and tell us what was happening. Did that punch earlier in the round set this up?
Well, I felt like, Larry, woo, that should be rated R. Anyway, I felt like we accidentally headbutt, and he tried to take advantage of me. Must have said like Corrie when I was wiping my eye. They try to come get me. When they see me, like I feel like I'm vulnerable. So they come try to get me. And when they come try to get me, a hurt man is a dangerous man. So when they come get me, I just, come to law, let it go.
What was your plan coming into the fight? Because it seemed that you came out and threw about 8 or 10 jabs to his stomach in the first round.
Well, I wanted to hit him to the body, and I felt like the longer the fight goes, regardless of whether we was in altitude or not, that I have a very, very strong jab. Anybody can attest to that who's been in the ring with me. And I knew it would take its toll on him. There's no excuses. We didn't get into the later rounds like everybody predicted. I wouldn't have a chance from 1 through 5. What round was it, number 5?
His mouth was open as early as the second round. Did that signal to you that he was having a problem?
Well, I know Lennox Lewis is a very cagey veteran. He got Emmanuel Stewart in his corner. Everybody was talking about the altitude. He could have been trying to bait me in. So I wasn't really paying attention to that.
So now you showed him why he needed a return match clause in the contract.
Well, it don't make me any difference. I'm going to stay with my prayers, stay with the right faith. I believe that power dua and stand in my faith. I mean, as long as I continue to be in this box game, I'm going to have a measure of success, inshallah. Allahu Akbar.
What next?
Well, I'm going to leave it to you, I'd like to come back to South Africa and defend. The people in South Africa are lovely. I love South Africa. Rodney Brown and Cedric Custer. Bring me back. Bring me back. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. I love South Africa.
All right. You love South Africa so much. We want to show a little bit more of the 5th round. The right hand that seemed to set up the later sequence that came in and led to the knockout blow. Did you feel that he was just posturing at the end there when he was making believe that you hadn't hurt him at all?
No, I felt like I believe that when I hit somebody, I hurt him. What degree, I'm not sure. But I was going to keep to my game plan unless I was out cold. That's the thing. I'm a fight until I'm out cold. You know that, Larry. That's why y'all bring me back, because you know I'm a fight, regardless of who y'all put me in the ring with. No Lennox and Tyson! No Lennox and Tyson!
Oh, Lennox and Tyson. Hey, I'll fight Tyson. We can bring Tyson right here to South Africa. And I'd like to give props to my man, my trainer, Adrian Frenchie Davis, for giving the man doing his first title loss in the heavyweight championship fight. Steve Nelson, Stan Hoffman. Oh, yes. Yes, Mac Lewis also. Much props to Mac Lewis. First gym I ever went to. I got you, Mr. Mac. Enough respect, man. Respect. Baltimore, #1. Love y'all. Hey, Mel Malley, get it ready for me.
All right, we're going to roll this tape because we want people to see the early right hand in that round, which perhaps 20 or 30 or 40 seconds goes. Describe what you see.
Well, I know Lennox, you know, it felt like I was cut. I thought he was coming on. I felt like that was a good right hand. But like I said, he didn't come right back when I was spent around. So I felt like I might have stunned him a little bit. But Lennox in shape, it's KG veteran. I wasn't sure. So, you know, you can't take too many chances with a guy like Lennox. A great champion, you take nothing away from him. And we can do it again.
Thank you very much, champ. And thank you, Lennox. Lennox, when all is said and done, did you take him too lightly?
No, not really. You know, this is what happens in heavyweight boxing. You get caught with a good shot. If you don't beat the count, they stop the fight. Simple as that. But there's always a next time. You know what I mean?
But surely something led to what happened at the end. Did you think he would be in there that long with you? Was he bothering you with his jabs to your body?
Yeah, no, I felt good in there. It's just this is what happens in heavyweight boxing. If you run into a shot and you don't beat the count, they stop the fight. But I felt real...
Wait. You say they run in heavyweight boxing. In any boxing, they're going to stop the fight if you don't beat the count.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was a good shot. Come with a good shot. I was coming in throwing a punch at the same time. And, you know, he just connected with his punch.
All right, you yourself admitted that if you were fighting somebody you thought was a more dangerous opponent, you might have been here earlier. That weight that you had on is a window into your preparation and into your mentality about defending your title, isn't it?
No, not at all. I felt great going in there. You know, my shape never showed at all in the fight. It's the situations, if both are going in with a right hand, one of them has to connect, and it so happens that his right hand connects. I never beat the count, simple as that. I felt good. You know, this is what happens in heavyweight boxing.
All right, let's take a look at the replay, and you tell us, you seem to think you were going to get out of that round after the first right hand hit you. You were smiling at him, and suddenly he had you on your right, on your ropes.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell he got through with a great right hand. My back was against the ropes. You know, great right hand. He caught me right on the chin. I went down. I never beat the count. They stopped the fight. Simple as that.
Have you been thinking too much of Mike Tyson?
No, absolutely not. Like I said, there's no fight unless I get past Hasim Rahman. And, you know, he came with a great shot. Didn't beat the count, but there's always a next time. You know, he threw that right hand. He didn't even know where I was.
Did he look easy to you in the fight?
Well, I was doing what I needed to do. You know, I was getting to him with the jabs. I was just walking him down. He came in with a left right, and I missed blocking it with my jab, and he got through. Simple as that. As you can see, I was walking after him. I was chasing him.
Were you trying to land too many big punches?
No, not really. I was trying to get in there and to definitely get him out. I felt that he was definitely getting weak as the fight went on. I just wanted to get in there with my jab. I can't even believe that.
Were you surprised at his composure in the fight? That he seemed to be calm and just trying to do whatever he could do?
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to land that big overhand right, and just so happens he did. He got through. I missed it with my left hand. That's the hand I usually block his right hand with, but it happened to get through, and he caught me on the chin. I went down, but I'll be back again. There's no way Hasim can beat me twice.
So you do have a rematch clause in your contract, and you do want the rematch?
Definitely want the rematch. You know, I felt good after I got up, and I thought I beat the count, but, you know, the referee felt that the fight should have been stopped. But, you know, Hasim Rahman's the champion today.
It's my understanding that in your contract, he can fight one more fight before taking the rematch. Is that correct as you understand it?
No, well, I don't know about that, but I definitely know there's a rematch clause, and you know, second time around, Hasim Rahman is going to be down.
Thank you very much, champ.
Thank you.
Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Larry. And just momentarily on camera, before I get a chance to talk with George Foreman, let me reestablish this. James Braddock beating Max Baer back in the 1930s. Cassius Clay beating Sonny Liston in Miami Beach, May 25, 1964. Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas in Tokyo, February 10, 1990. And now this, Hasim Rahman with a single shot right hand, flooring and freezing Lennox Lewis to score one of the 4 biggest upsets in the history of the heavyweight division and win the heavyweight crown. And George Foreman, what kind of a champion is Hasim Rahman going to be? He's a delightful guy.
He's wiped my slate clean from what happened to me in Africa. Now they'll be talking about what happened to Lewis. Rahman, he was determined. He got in there. He should have lost confidence, but he kept throwing shots. And we have a new heavyweight champion. I love it.
Ironically, Mike Tyson, for months, his people have talked about Rahman as a possible future opponent for Tyson as Tyson builds and tries to get ready to fight Lewis. Now the idea of Rahman-Tyson takes on a whole different meaning, doesn't it?
He's no opponent anymore. He's the heavyweight champion of the world.
A brilliant performance by The Rock, who, Larry Merchant, you and several other critics pointed out how lackadaisically Lewis trained and prepared for the fight. There was nothing in the last week to indicate that he was that much more serious about it than he had been, being back in Las Vegas April 6th, April 5, shooting a movie while Rahman was down here training. You could see the casualness from minute 1 in the ring.
You make a fighter a serious opponent if you don't take him seriously. And that's what happened here tonight. A lot of people saw it coming but couldn't believe that Hasim Rahman would be the one that would execute it. You asked me the question earlier tonight, can he raise his game enough if he's being taken lightly? Well, he raised that right hand a couple of times, and so what happened was we had a return to the theater of the unexpected in boxing.
And Lewis gets a reminder of what happened to him against Oliver McCall September 24, 1994 at the Wembley Conference Center in London. The previous time that he walked into a big right hand and had to try to make explanations after. Let's take a look now once again at round 5, at all of the 5th round action in real time, and once again chart the progress of the developments that led to the big knockout. And George, while Lewis was landing here, I was getting ready to ask you as round 5 progressed, does he walk around with his hands at his waist because he wants to invite the opponent to try to hit him upstairs, or is it just because he's being lazy in there?
All of the above. All the above. You know, I've often said, when it all boils down, the small heavyweights always reap the benefit. This is not a big, tall man sport. You can reign for a bit, but there's always going to be a 6-1er, a 2er, a 1er, and a 2er who's going to take these boxing matches, these title matches. And as you can see, the Rock man, small, 6'2", but the right hand goes right in there in the middle of that big man.
Well, 6'2" and 237 is not what...
Not tiny.
It's not tiny either.
It's Joe Lewis's height.
Yeah, you know, but...
Height.
This is
Joe
the second,
Lewis's height.
This is the second
The meek shall inherit the boxing world.
This is the second time there's been a major heavyweight championship fight in Africa. The second time there's been an upset.
Uh-oh, Larry, you went there anyway. But I love it. I'm happy to be a part of this
that
one.
among the 4 big upsets that I now rank at the top of the heavyweight division, but that was an upset, too.
It's always one of the great events in all of sports when you get a change in the heavyweight championship. And when you get an outright underdog, a fighter most people thought was
That was
mismatched.
the first big right hand right there. And you can see Lewis smiling, and George, that always means...
I'm hurt. I'm hurt.
That's why I'm grinning at you.
Whistling through the graveyard.
Now watch Lewis back over toward the ropes, and Rock comes in and fires the one big right-hand shot about 15, 20, 30 seconds down the road from here. And as Lewis goes down, we don't really know yet. So let's check and be sure. Did he get stopped by the referee without a completion of the count because of his condition on the canvas, or did the count actually reach 10? It was hard to tell in the bedlam that took place in the ring.
Lewis's left hand is right there on his hip, carrying it so low. Why not be knocked out?
Now we've got the referee, Mr. Vanderwiller, over here to the side. Tell me this, was there a completed count here?
Yes, it was a completed count. He was out when he hit the floor, completely out. And
So
it was
you make it
instant.
all the way to 10 on this count?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our videotape stopped before we saw the full completion of 9 to 10. But you're saying the count was fully complete?
Yes, I did the completely count. He hit the floor and he was completely out. It was an instinct that he wanted to get up, but he was still out.
So officially it's KO, not TKO?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderbilt. All right. So there you have it. Officially a knockout, not a technical knockout, for Hasim Rahman over Lennox Lewis. That differentiates it, incidentally, from Lewis's previous loss to McCall, where he got up at the count of 6, but then was not allowed to continue in the fight by that referee, a fellow named Lupe Garcia from Mexico. Technical difficulties did not allow us to show the conclusion of the count. Now we're going to show it to you, so let's watch and see if we can pick up the 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well,
Jim,
he had
you
his
started
hands on
counting a
Lennox.
little late. The count
Was I late?
start, as soon as
Okay.
he hit the canvas, the count start.
Okay, so you're confirming that?
Yeah,
you
he
see it
was
as-
down, and not only was he down, it was a merciful stoppage also.
Well, I don't think he would have been able to continue in the fight anyway after taking
Larry
a shot
was
like
shot.
that.
I got to admit, it's the first time I've set aside Larry Merchant, and he was shot.
Did Larry beat the count?
I can't believe it. Larry.
What a night. What a night in South Africa. As the new darling of South Africa, Baltimore, Maryland's Hasim Rahman becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. You got a final postscript on this, LM?
Yeah, there used to be a time when the media would trail the heavyweight champion around the world, much like the media would trail a United States president around the world, even if he was off to some formal meeting somewhere, just in case something happened.
So how many media were here?
No American boxing writer I know of came to South Africa to see this, assuming, as many people did, that it was a mismatch.
No American boxing writer. The Baltimore Sun didn't send a writer?
The Baltimore Sun sent a writer to cover a hometown boy. There were 3 correspondents from New York Times, Boston Globe, Washington Post, who normally cover political affairs in South Africa. But be that as it may, there's something exhilarating about a moment like this when you hear all of the speculation, all of the months past about this fight happening or that fight happening, and some young guy comes along and shoots holes through all of those plans. And just remember, we've been saying for some time, Jim, that all of the recognized heavyweights were well into the 30s. Lennox Lewis, 35 years old. How many times can you go to the well? How many times can you get yourself in absolute peak condition? Sooner or later, some young guy, some ambitious guy was going to land a big punch on a veteran heavyweight. It was later, and it was tonight.
All those boxing journalists back in the States can surely appreciate if you had been here this week, if you were on the inside of this event, if you knew what was going on at some point, regardless of how much you believed in Lewis, and I've always been a big Lewis believer, at some point you said to yourself, Tokyo felt a little bit like this. Right now, it feels every bit like Tokyo. We'll have a final word on what happened here in the ring in just a moment. Let's look ahead to some upcoming programs on HBO.
This is a fantastic story, fellas. 2 Yankees playing in the house that Ruth built, both going after his record.
In the season of 1961, Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris challenged a legend.
Who is going to break Babe Ruth's home run record?
Electrified a nation.
I don't care about this stupid record, Mickey. Why can't you just admit you want it too?
And made baseball history. 61, Saturday, April 28th, only on HBO.
The beat goes on, fast and furious, as KO Nation brings you hot new rising star Andrew Six Heads Lewis. He's quick, he's powerful, and he's the new welterweight champion after a show-stopping knockout against former champ James Page. Now he's craving a sugar rush, but first he has to defend his title against a hungry Larry Marks. Andrew Six Heads Lewis versus Larry Marks, and Diaz versus Cencion. Live Saturday, April 28th on HBO. KO Nation, on the ropes, off the hook.
May 5, Fernando Vargas returns to the ring for the first time since his war with Tito Trinidad. This time, the comebacking Vargas takes on veteran Wilfredo Rivera. 1 week later on TVKO pay-per-view, Vargas conqueror Trinidad joins the middleweight unification series. He'll be taking on William Jaffe of Washington, D.C. for Jaffe's title belt. The winner meets Bernard Hopkins in the fall to determine the undisputed middleweight champion. HBO, the heart and soul of boxing. And don't forget, this Wednesday, it's another edition of On the Record with Bob Costas. This season, Bob's special guests have included Bruce Springsteen, George Clooney, Vince McMahon, and Ashley Judd. This week, he'll have 61 Asterisk director Billy Crystal and Ray Charles. It's live at 11 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Tonight, at Carnival City, just outside of Johannesburg, South Africa, lightning struck in the heavyweight division. Hasim Rahman of Baltimore, a 15-1 betting underdog against undisputed champion Lennox Lewis of England, fired 2 right-hand shots in the 5th round, the second of which left Lennox helpless on the canvas. The champion was counted out, and a new champion was crowned. He's an American heavyweight champion, and his name is Hasim the Rock Rahman. He brings fresh air to the heavyweight division. Next on HBO, stay tuned for The Sopranos on the East Coast and the premiere of 28 Days on the West Coast. So now for the entire HBO crew here in Carnival City, South Africa, I'm Jim Lampley saying see you next week from New York City. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Rick Bernstein. Tonight's edition of World Championship Boxing was produced by Dave Harmon and directed by Mark Payton. The feature producers were Brian Lockhart and Thomas Erdelfelt. Assistant to the producer, Abteen Motia. Production manager, John McCallie. Technical supervisor, Roy Otaki. And the technical director is Joey Evander. Congratulations, Rock.